You're listening to Prosper in the Kingdom, the podcast where faith meets practical strategies to help you become healthy, wealthy, and wise. Join hosts Jon Cleaver and Wendy Lee as they share insights to equip you in your journey toward abundance, spiritually, financially, and beyond. Just a reminder, every situation is unique. The content of this podcast is for educational purposes only and should not be taken as specific financial or medical advice.
Welcome back, everybody, to another Prosper in the Kingdom. I'm your host, Jon C, with the ever amazing Wendy Lee. Wendy, what's going on? How was your week since last week?
That's great. I think I recorded our last episode in New Jersey. So back home, I've perfected the amount of time that I take a trip to family. It's 5 days.
That's generous.
I always think I want to do a week. And this time I was like, no, I'm going to say 5 days. And if we want to extend it once we're there, we can. And guess what? Everybody was ready to go home at day 5.
There you go. And it gives you a couple days of recovery too. So that's awesome. And it ties a little bit about what we're talking about. We've been talking about entrepreneurs. We've been talking about, building your wealth, building your financial kingdom, and what the Bible says about all that. But, the whole premise of this show is to teach you how to be healthy, wealthy, and wise. Today, we're going to focus on the healthy side. Mm-hmm. And really looking at, and this is going to be geared towards everybody, but primarily towards entrepreneurs, executives that are at that post-40 age, because your body changes once you hit 40. Things slow down. So today we're talking about your body, your business, and why health after 40 is the new wealth. And so, getting healthy isn't just smart. I mean, it is obviously, but it's also strategic. Mm-hmm. One of the things that a lot of entrepreneurs, especially startups, I mean, they're just burning the candle at both ends, trying to make everything fit in. Same thing with executives, right? And not to say that, your frontline workers or managers or things like that aren't working. But if this applies to you, then listen up, because we've got some really good information. We're going to break down how the whole hustle culture has really kind of hurt that piece, and those desk jobs, things like that. We're using our minds, we're using AI, all of these things, but are we using your body? So we're going to give you a few little health habits and some tips to kind of take away on it. But I don't know, Wendy. I mean, are you maxing out your exercise every day? You exercise like 3 or 4 hours a day, don't you? I mean, because you got nothing going on, right?
Nobody needs to exercise 4 hours a day. No, but I sometimes exercise 4 times a day. I just do like 5-minute spurts or whatever. But yeah, I mean, you mentioned the hustle culture. I think for a long time, I sacrificed my health for the sake of growing a business. I made the excuse of I don't have enough time. Like I get up,
Bingo.
My personal development and my Bible time, and then I go straight into prospecting, and then I do this, and then I do that, and then I got my kids, and and here's the truth too. It's like the hustle culture, but also then the confusion around like what you should be doing. And as we're learning,
there's so much noise out there.
So much.
Go ahead. Yeah, there's just so much.
But as we're learning, we are realizing, like the high stress, how that affects us. Too little sleep. I used to pride myself on waking up at 4:30 in the morning. Guess what?
Sleep when you're dead.
Now I'm like, I sleep till 6 to 7. I wake up naturally. I don't wake up with an alarm anymore now because I'm my own boss. I get to do that. But, having too much caffeine, skipping meals because we're too busy working, right? And so then you realize, wait, I'm going to build this business and then I'm not going to be healthy enough to enjoy the life.
My kids and grandkids will enjoy everything when I keel over, all the hard work and stuff. And that's really it. I mean, and you start looking at the stats, and stats don't lie, right? Especially, as I mentioned earlier, when you hit that 40 plus, testosterone in men, right? Testosterone starts dropping at about 1% a year, and that starts at age 30. Yeah. So every year, I mean, so 30 to 40, you've lost 10% of your testosterone, 40 to 50, another 10%. So how do I stop that? Well, you can do out and go do the easy thing, which is start injecting this, that, and the other. And I love the hashtag built, not injected. It's more natural. You say there's so many side effects with, different things that are out there, and I'm not going to go into, the specifics, but look it up. I can tell you right now, your body's reacting to a deficiency in something, and it's not pharmaceutical, petroleum-based drugs. I can tell you that. Muscle mass. We can talk about that a little bit too. And you actually kind of turned me onto that. Losing that muscle mass, it affects your metabolism. It affects, your mental state, things like that. And actually, by keeping that muscle mass, and it just dwindles off, right? It's not like you're in a coma or something like that. But I guess that's an extreme example of having a desk job versus laying in a hospital bed. Just start to get atrophy and things like that. Your energy. That's why, you go back 20 years ago, right? Think of the energy drinks on the market back then. Very few, if any, and now they're everywhere, right? And then, it also, your brain fog sets in. If you're not taking care of your body, you're not operating at peak performance. And let's be honest, God gave you a gift, and that's why the body is your temple, right? And he gave you a gift to pour your soul into, and this is the one you get. So why wouldn't you want to take care of it? So, so many leaders ignore the signs of, stress and things like that. And they try to fight it with, or combat it with drugs and things like that. And it's a downward spiral. I don't know, agree, disagree, but.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I think we wear busy as a badge of honor, and, and you start to watch. What I started to notice for myself is when I'm listening to somebody speak about business, I realized I trust more the person that's in shape. And I didn't realize that. I think it was a subconscious thought until I became aware of it. And I'm like, because if you can take care of your body, then you can take care of other things too. Yeah. And it's like, there's, I think, one of those books that everybody has read at some point, but I can't think of the name of it right now, but how you do one thing is how you do everything, they say. So like, if you're not taking care of your temple, right, then the rest of the things start to crumble. It just shows a discipline. And I know some people have medical issues, so that aside. In general, though, somebody that prioritizes their health and creates that discipline around working out and their eating habits.
Yep.
I think it translates over to business. And yeah, go ahead.
Keep going. I'm just kind of throwing.
I know for myself, when I start my day with some exercise and when I'm more focused on food as fuel and not entertainment, then I feel better and I do better. And like you said, the brain fog. I mean, I just went on this trip to Jersey, right? And I was eating pretty good beforehand, really watching. And when I even told you beforehand, like, I'm going to have the cheesesteak. I'm going to have the tasty cakes. Like there's things that I crave that only can get in New Jersey, which, by the way, I will tell you, I had a Reuben that was terrible. And there's a better one here in Chattanooga, just saying. But, as soon as I had a day of eating like crap, my eyes got heavy. I got brain fog. I woke up one day and I had these big bags under my eyes. I did a story and I had several people comment on how terrible I looked. But I just looked like I was having an allergic reaction, and it's because of all the gluten I was bringing in, blah, blah, blah. So it's not just vanity, right? I think people think it's vanity, but it's not. It's like your overall health and wellness and energy and brain capacity.
Yeah. So what I've learned in that commentary is that your discipline only goes so far. When you go back home, the tasty cakes, they're calling your name. No, I'm just kidding. And that's one of the things I just want to stress to everybody too. There's no need to be fanatically overboard about, doing these things. I mean, we all joke, hey, when you go on vacation, calories don't count, right? Go have some fun, do some things, but you really need to be, overall in general, you need to be really focused. I mean, I've been on a health journey. I started at June 1. I've been sharing it online, social media and stuff like that. Not a lot, but, and I've been really made aware. It's like one of those things, I was today years old when I found out X. And I really started looking what I was putting into my body. And I haven't started really working out as a regimen. That's my weakness. I hate working out. It's like, but I know it needs to be done. However, I wanted to start with my body and build the discipline and get the wins there first, and then transition into the kind of the exercise component. I've got a gym I just built out in my garage now. I'm waiting on one more piece, a split unit, so I can have actually AC, so I'm not in a hot garage in Tennessee in the summer. But even with that, just looking at what I'm putting in my body, cutting out alcohol, had some guests. My brother came to town. I went off and had a couple drinks, on, just to be transparent. So it's not as though you got to go over the top, but it's really about focusing on getting healthy and whatever that is for you, right? Some people are all I've got a friend out of Chicago. We went to school together, and she does the weight, not with the weightlifting, but they show their body, the low body fat. I forget what that's called. Competitive.
Competition, competing in bikini competitions, fitness.
And she's like, focus on it. And I'm like, nah, I mean, I'm not trying to get all big. I'm not trying to be all buff. What I am trying to do is be healthy, and I want to be comfortable. Summertime, out at the pool, I want to take off my shirt, and be comfortable with it, not rocking the dad bod. Nothing wrong against the dad bod. If you're loving it, love it. But I think, especially speaking as a guy, we all want to look good. Mm-hmm. Not that we need to be, super bound muscle guy, like Stretch Armstrong back in the day for you Gen Xers, you know what I'm talking about. And it's not just about that, but it's, taking it to the next level of, I want to be healthy for my family. I want to be able to do things. I want to be able to go and, I want to go hiking with my kids. I want to be able to do that with my grandkids whenever they're around. Mm-hmm. Kids, take your time on that one. But again, it's one of those things that's what it's all about, to be able to actually, when you've worked so hard, either as, in your corporate career as an executive or starting business or multiple businesses, you want to be able to enjoy it. Not just say, okay, well, now I can sit on my butt even more and just not be there to get the fruits of your labor, I guess is what I'm saying.
Yeah. Well, and I think, you and I have both learned that the importance of muscle, like, yes, the diet. And I know that's what you started with. And that's what I started with. I mean, I'm just since January have been focusing on the fitness piece, but and the reason I shifted and I was like, okay, I need to start working on building muscle was because I've been following doctors who are tying your muscular wellness, basically. So not just I have muscles, but like the mitochondria in your muscles, like what are they doing? Right. They are clean. I mean, your muscles are cleaning your blood. People don't realize the power of your muscle. And they're now linking it, lack of muscle. So sarcopenia, which is like the rapid loss of muscle in older age, they're linking that to Alzheimer's. Like there's tons of studies now coming out with that. And so then I see these women I follow a couple ladies on Instagram there's one lady, she's over 100 and she can do a 3-minute plank, and you hear her talk like just mentally sharp and go. Yep. And it's just amazing what it can do. And when we have, I think that's why, God talks about like your body is a temple. Like it is where the Holy Spirit, if you're a Christian, the Holy Spirit lives within us. Yeah. And like we have a responsibility of stewardship, just like we do over our money, just like we do over our talent. We have that same responsibility to steward our health. And so 40.
No, and I agree. I mean, like I said, the body seems to slow down after that. But, looking at, okay, I get it, John, I get it, Wendy, but I'm still busy. I've still got a lot going on. And so we want to break down kind of 5 simple steps that you can do that don't really take up a lot of time. And, I want to say it's very, very simple. That's what I've found. I started my journey on June 1st. I was almost 229 pounds. I weighed in yesterday at 212. So I'm almost 17 pounds down. And I'm not done. Thank you. But, how am I getting there? Well, I can tell you, I just told you, it's not about working out and going sweating and stuff like that. However, I am going to mix that in because I know that's phase 2 of where I've kind of put my plan together. But the first thing and the simplest thing is intermittent fasting. You hear about it. It's like, what is it? Your body, and I heard this explanation this week because now all my feeds, because I'm trying to learn all this stuff on Instagram and social are kind of feeding me this information, but your body needs time to recuperate. It needs time to shut down and that's your digestive system and everything else, your muscular system, and that's a system, your skin, that's a system as well. But intermittent fasting, I do a 16-8, which is hardcore. Start with an 8 whatever, an 8-16 or whatever, but make a point to, you talk about missing meals or whatever. Breakfast was not necessarily a meal that was supposed to be back in the day, right? And I'm talking about our ancestors. They weren't eating 3 meals a day, especially the portions we eat here in America, right? Mm-hmm. And so what I've chosen to do is I do a 16-8, meaning I don't eat for 16 hours. And then I start eating, and I have an 8-hour window that I eat, and I eat protein, things like that. And that's not, it's not like I'm skipping carbs, but what I am skipping is processed sugar. And I'm amazed at how many ingredients there are processed sugar. I cut out that. I cut out sodas. I switched to sparkling water. The flavored waters are out there. Some are good, some are great. But intermittent fasting is something that's like, okay, now I will tell you, I take supplements to help me with that, which I'll put the link down below. But I found some great supplements. Wendy actually introduced me to them that really turn my body, especially now that I'm eating right, it turns my metabolism and kind of supercharges. For you guys out there, it's like putting a booster in your gas, right? And a kind of an octane booster. And that's what it does for your metabolism. And then there's also something called lean that helps you with your hunger. All natural. I'm not doing any injectables. I'm not doing GLP-1 of any brand name because there's so many side effects to that. Not knocking if you to do it, but do your research before you start grabbing the needle. And so, I don't do any crazy meal prep. I think it's great. I just don't have time, but I'm watching and I don't really count the calories, but I watch what I'm putting in my body, focusing on proteins, low sugar, and healthy food.
And I think, one thing I want to mention about intermittent fasting, because men and women are different with this. Intermittent fasting does not mean you have to wait longer. Like John, I think you skip breakfast and have your fasting window start at noon. Women, not a good idea. Women are different. Women need that breakfast in the morning, high protein. And then, you can still do intermittent fasting, but that doesn't mean eat late. That means cut off your eating earlier, right? Yeah. So don't eat later in the day for women. So, for me, like having a really solid, breakfast is my biggest, most hearty meal of the day. I mean, this morning I had 3 eggs, some egg whites, avocado. I did have a piece of sourdough toast because I love that. And a couple pieces of bacon and some cottage cheese. So I have a high protein, serious breakfast. And then what I'm working on, I'm not as disciplined as John with the intermittent fasting, but I'm working on ending, still having that 8-hour window, but ending it earlier in the day. So, because my weakness is eating at night. But like you had mentioned, lean, that actually I shifted when I take that. I don't take it in the morning. I take it at lunch and in the evening, and it helps me a ton. So, but the key, like you said, I never realized this, but if you just focus, cause counting macros and calories and stuff can get overwhelming. If you just focus on high protein, the rest of it falls into place, and those, like you said, those things you're not going to eat, stop with the, crappy breads and stop with the sugar.
Yep. And stop with the prepackaged stuff and look what the ingredients are and things like that. But, what is that going to do for you? And I'm glad you brought up the fact that men and women are anatomically and physically different, right? And that's not good or bad. That's not going down any political conversation. It's just our bodies react differently to different kind of stimulus. So looking at, what's good about intermittent fasting? Well, it's going to help, first of all, lowers inflammation. You even made a comment about, man, your face doesn't look as inflamed, which I don't know. I kind of took that as an insult at first, but then I was like, okay, she meant it as a compliment. Helps your insulin, helps your body burn fat. And so that's really what we're going for. And then, the second thing is to move daily. It's so easy to get, stuck in your routine desk job, your brain's going, you're flying, it's okay. You're being so creative and working so hard, but yet your body's just sitting there.
Mm-hmm.
So, focus on a 30-minute exercise. I went and had AI. I love AI. I coach on AI, but I actually had AI design a 30-minute workout, 30 to 40 minutes a day, but 30 minutes was the target. And I told it what I wanted to focus on, the areas I wanted to focus on. And even went a step further, I told you I had to set up a home gym in my garage. I told it exactly what equipment I had, and I wanted to leverage that equipment to achieve our goals. And it gave me a 30-minute workout on all the equipment, and here's what you do and everything else. And it laid out the first month. This is a marathon, guys. This isn't going to be something. It took you X number of years, maybe decades, to get in the shape that you're in now. It's going to take a hot minute to get out, but your body will respond quickly. And that's one of the things I've noticed personally. Your body wants to repair itself, and it's got an awesome system inside to help you get back on track. So make sure you're walking 30 minutes in, the muscle piece, work in some kind of body weight. It doesn't have to be weights. It can be resistance. I love, there's a website out there, Darby, I think it is. And there are so many awesome workouts. They've got beginner, intermediate, and advanced. So pick the ones that work for you in the different areas and work it in. Oh, going back to AI, I will tell you, it has me working out 4 days a week to start off with, not 7, 4 days a week. And I'm like, I can do this. Yeah. And that's what I came away with. I'm like, I can do it. If I can do it, you can do it. Yeah. Right.
Yep. Yeah. I think, the moving every day, I've focused, especially when I was in Jersey, I walk the beach every morning, but walking to get your body moving, and then actually, working out 3 to 4 days of strength training, and you're good. So,
yeah.
And then
that's going to help your heart. It's going to help guys, your testosterone. It's going to get that T level back up, bone strength, and then just the mental sharpness, have some music going in the background. But so what's next? What's the other big thing that everybody overlooks?
That's the big one, is prioritize sleep. Yep. Right. I mentioned that in the beginning. I prided myself on, I wake up at 4:30 every morning. But prioritize sleep. We need, everyone's different. So figure out what your rhythm is and what you need, but ideally 7 to 8 hours of sleep, and figuring out what that nighttime routine, people always focus on the morning routine. That was a hot thing for a long time. People, miracle morning, and everything's about morning. But listen, guys, you're not going to have a good morning if you don't have a good night. And so this is something that I am going to be focusing on next in my own life, is getting rid of the screens before bedtime.
Yes.
Right. Figuring out how to wind down my brain. Because it's so easy to check the phone before you go to bed. But that blue light is disrupting your circadian rhythm or whatever. So winding down before bed, and sleep is when your body recovers.
Yeah.
So the intermittent fasting is so your digestive system can take a break, so your body can work on other things. And then sleep, we're learning a ton about this with some doctors that we follow right now, but it's when your brain recovers. And what they're figuring out now, what happens in your brain when you're sleeping is crazy. You guys do not want, we'll put out more information in the future on that, but sleep is where you recover physically, spiritually, and mentally. There's a ton of mental healing that happens when you're sleeping.
Well, and if you miss sleep, we've all had that, where we only got a few hours of sleep or had a rough night's sleep. You wake up and you're in this brain cloud and you can't function. You're maybe, pulling in at 50, 60% of capacity. And it's because of the sleep. And, you've got to have a rhythm. And, the challenge, I'm a night owl. I love staying up, but I've gotten into a habit now of, I start shutting down, like you said, at about 9:30. I start, unplugging myself, things like that. And then I'm, going and getting ready for bed. And I try to be in bed by 10:30, and typically I'll fall asleep relatively quickly, or definitely by 11. And then I naturally wake up about 6:30. And I don't use an alarm clock, and it's fantastic. My body's in this rhythm. And so it's nice because I don't wake up all and it's like you're stressed out from the minute you jump out of bed. But and I'm refreshed and woken and ready to roll. But it's one of those things. Again, sleep is one of those things. In my opinion, I overlooked it for years, but it's so important. Yeah. So number 4, we talked about this. It's eating. What are you putting into your body? Eating for performance. you got to look at your body as a massive system for your soul to go through life, right? What kind of fuel are you putting in your body? And again, I'm not talking about doing all the shakes and powders and stuff like that, although there's some great stuff out there I'm learning to help supplement, and a lot of great supplements out there too, but just focusing on lean proteins, right? I'm going to just own it. KFC, I'm gonna tear up a bucket, right? I mean, not by myself, but I love the original recipe. But I recognize, hey, number one, you're getting a lot of seed oil fats in there and stuff like that. So what do I do now? I went out to lunch yesterday dinner at Panda Express. Panda Express. Well, what did I get? I got the veggies instead of the fried rice that I like, and I got the teriyaki chicken with no teriyaki sauce. I just put salt and pepper on it and stuff like that. It tasted great. And is it a perfect meal? No. But again, you're not trying to be all crazy over the top. I got to live life, right? And so I didn't want to come home and eat a home meal. I'm going to stop out. I was out running errands and things like that. But focus on, a higher protein count. And this is really where, if you've got a coach, a fitness coach or something like that, talk to them about it. If you don't, AI, right? Me personally, my target right now, this is for me and my journey, not yours. I'm targeting 180 grams of protein per day. I'm still eating carbs. I'm not doing the Atkins or the carnivore or anything like that. Have I hit 180? No, but I'm landing at about 150 to 165 every day. And I've noticed I'm eating better foods, higher protein foods. And I always look at the ingredients to make sure there's not a bunch of stuff I can't pronounce in there. And I found some great stuff, but good fats and whole carbs. I'll still eat, even sugar coming down to that instead of going and looking at, processed sugar, bananas. I'm eating a lot of fruit, right? Not all fruit. I'm a meat eater, right? I'm a carnivore. But you don't want to do the extreme where you're cutting out certain building blocks that your body needs, which your body needs carbs, your body needs fats, right? And so, go into it wisely and get some good guidance. But the one big piece that I've cut out is, number one, sugar, processed sugar, and it's in a lot of stuff. My daughter is a Starbucks fan, and I don't really go to Starbucks for other reasons. I'm not going to support their business, but that's just my choice. But the amount of stuff that they put in there. So you look at the grams of sugar, and I think it's, what is it? One tablespoon of sugar, or 1 tablespoon, or maybe a teaspoon, one or the other, is about 5 grams of sugar. Okay. And if you've got a drink, even something that's supposed to be good, like a hydration drink, and you see 20 grams of sugar in that, that's 4 tablespoons of sugar. Now ask yourself, would you go over to your mom's sugar dish, grab a spoon, and just eat 4 spoonfuls of sugar? I know it helps the medicine go down, at least according to that nanny back in the day. I was just saying that when you said that. But you wouldn't do it. So why are you allowing it in your food, right? So again, just be sensitive. Look at the label. What's going on? And make a healthier choice. But, you definitely want to, I'm not saying cut it out. I'm a sweet tooth guy, but there are better alternatives. I found a protein bar that I really love that doesn't taste like cardboard called Fit Crunch. I just love them. So I'm going to say their name. But it tastes like a candy bar, but the sugar's low, and the protein, it's got protein in, I think, like 15, 16 grams of protein in it. So the balance is phenomenal. So, really looking at that, and it's going to, by doing that, focusing on that, what you're putting in your body, it's going to help you retain that muscle mass you're putting on, right? Boost gut health, which is important because that's your system that processes all your fuel, and then keeps you focused.
Yep. And then the final thing is to be smart about supplements. Supplements, nutraceuticals, what can you put into your body to help support the system? Because the fact is, food is not like it was when our grandparents were young. The soil, even if you have your own garden, the soil is depleted. We don't have the same vitamins and minerals. So, omega-3s, your vitamin D, make sure you go out and get actual real life vitamin D all year round in the sun. Magnesium, zinc, if you have like a men's or women's health multivitamin. And I know John and I both also use all natural peptide supplements that help
Yes.
signal our body to do certain things, which those have been a game changer for us. If you want to
Octane
know,
booster. Octane booster.
yes, if you want to know what we use, would love to share. I mean, the world of peptides I knew nothing about 2 years ago, and now it seems to be what a lot of people talk about. But those have been a game changer. And your trace minerals. So if you don't have a trace mineral supplement, that's another thing to get all of those micronutrients that we don't seem to get from our typical food. And you guys share real quick, John, because your Chat GPT expertise with your supplements, what you did with that.
So I was taking some supplements, right? Fish oil I've been taking forever, multivitamin and things like that. But I'm an everyday person, right? I'm not a training guru or anything like that. And we'll probably get some people that chime in, oh, you shouldn't be. And it's like, no, hey, I'm just talking about real life stuff here. So I wanted that next level, kind of really digging in. So I went through and listed out what I wanted to accomplish. And, as far as health, taking supplements, and I wanted natural supplements. Again, I'm not trying to grab some, bottle and take a needle and put some kind of chemical in my body that's petroleum based. So that's what I focused on. I used ChatGPT, asked it these questions, and, do the research. Here's what I'm looking to do. And this is what I'm currently taking. What am I missing? And so it added 5 other supplements that and I'm like, okay, is this going to conflict with any medicines I'm taking? Again, I'm going to say this disclaimer, talk to your doctor first. But you can get a head start and have an educated conversation with your doctor as opposed to, hey, what should I do? I don't know, take a vitamin, right? And so really looking at it, because you don't want to conflict with anything or do anything negative. But going through, for me on my journey, I came out with I think I take a total of 13 supplements now. And I said, okay, I need to know the peak time to take them. And it said, okay, well, this is morning, this is noon, and this is evening. I'm like, I'm gonna tell you right now, I'm not taking them 3 times a day. I need morning when I get up and before I go to bed. So let's keep it real, right? Keep it simple. He's like, okay, and here's what it is, right? And so he broke it down, and and what I take in the morning and what I take in the night. And I check in from time to time. Okay, do we need to adjust anything? And it literally, does a lot of the homework for you. And I'm asking, okay, how is this benefiting me? And I've been amazed by the results. And then adding the peptides, which I want to hit on that again. I know we're going long today, folks, but this is such a critical piece. But looking at, the natural peptides versus the, again, pharmacy-based, petroleum-based peptides. And I keep saying petroleum because a lot of them are. A lot of our, mainstream medicine is. But I'm not opposed to, if that's what you want to do it. But looking at what natural peptides has done is, like I said, and I keep using this analogy because I think guys get it. It's an octane booster for your car. It takes what you're already doing and it helps your body become to become efficient, and you're maximizing the results. And I feel better than I have in a long time. I sleep better. The weight's coming off, which is I'm glad, not because it's the diet and everything else. It's kind of the all encompassing thing, but that's how your body operates. And again, I'm just trying to get my body back in shape. Not that I want to go back to my 20s. I mean, I'd like to, but I want to be as healthy as I can be at my age. And I use this scale called Renfro. There's a bunch of them out there. And I would encourage you to get some kind of scale like that, a smart scale. We'll call it a smart scale. And literally I weigh in every morning and it tells me what my visceral fat is, what my body fat is, my BMI, and all these other things. And not to mention, that's an Aura ring. And it's helping monitor my sleep and stuff like that. The Aura ring, there's a little bit of a cost to it. So it may be cost prohibitive to some people, but the scale, you can pick those up on Amazon for like $30.
Yeah.
I'll be honest. I got mine at Goodwill for $5. I did sterilize it, guys. Don't be thinking I'm stepping on some nasty foot germs. But it's one of those things. It goes back to what you focus on happens, right? And if you're really serious about it, there's so much reward on the other side about getting healthy. But again, just start with one habit. We went through 5 things. Start with one habit today and commit to it for you, for your kids, for your spouse, for your partner, for yourself and your future self. And, start walking, cut the sugar, get 7 hours of good sleep, right? Fast until noon, or, fast at some point during the day. Like I said, I love the point that Wendy brought up about men and women being different, and that's accurate. And add some kind of a supplement, even if it's just a basic multivitamin, right? Because the food that we're getting now, it's like Wendy said, it's not our grandparents' food. It's not the same. And so we're missing a lot of the nutrients and things like that because of the GMO stuff going on and everything else. And we're overcooking in a lot of cases. So it's so much simpler than you think it is. It's just you getting started, and give yourself some grace. You don't have to know everything out of the gate. Just learn along the way, but take a first step.
Mm-hmm. And the bottom line is too, I mean, for most of our audience, you guys are entrepreneurs, and for you to build a business that's successful as well, you've got to make your health a priority. So it's time to stop with the hustle and no time to take care of the temple. So,
yep, you can do both. So everybody, I hope you got some great information out of that. If you did, do us a favor, click that little like button down below, share it on your feed would be fantastic, and tag us in it. If you've got some questions, we'll actually put the supplement link down below. So if you're curious about that, reach out to us through DM or whatever. But try it, and check it out. Like I said, it's done wonders for me. Always consult your physician if you're going to make some changes, just to get their input. Shoot them a quick email. Hey, here's what I'm thinking about doing. What are your thoughts? Do you think I'm okay with that? Everybody's journey is different. Remember that. But baby steps. Just start with that first step today and watch what happens over the next 30, 60, 90 days. So that's Prosper in the Kingdom for today. We'll see you next Wednesday, and make it a great week. Bye, everybody.
Thanks for tuning in to Prosper in the Kingdom. If this episode added value to your day, be sure to like and subscribe. And don't forget to share it with someone who could use the encouragement. For more resources, head to prosperinthekingdom.com. Let's continue building lives of purpose and abundance, one step at a time.